by Billy here pregame. We'll open it up for questions. Go ahead, Joe.
Hold on.
Oh, here you go.
Billy.
Yes.
A couple things. First of all, obviously the second night of the NBA schedule, first night of full game slate, and we've already had one game canceled with Houston and OKC. Just talk about what kind of reminder of how fragile this thing is. And then secondly, if you could just talk about who your starters are and which way you're going at the small forward spot specifically.
Yeah. I think, Joe, I've talked a lot about this. It's every day, for us. And I know, you wake up and you're waiting for test results, and we're testing all the time. And we're talking to our guys about, the safety of everyone. But, a lot of this stuff is possibly inevitable, and I think from our standpoint, you have to deal with, what it is you're dealing with people being out. But this is going to be something that's going to be going on for quite some time. And it makes it very, very challenging. And I've said this before, it's not just us. The whole league is dealing with this. And, you could have rotations one night and maybe totally different the next night. You could have guys available one game and may not be available the next game. So that makes it hard. As it relates to the starters, I'm going to hold that until we have to put that in. And then, just from a competitive standpoint, just keeping that to ourselves as of now.
Mike McGraw.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, Billy, I'm curious your reaction to the first game canceled last year, and then now the first game canceled this year is both involve Oklahoma City, your old home. What kind of thoughts did that ran through your mind when you saw that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the difference is, last year when Rudy Gobert tested positive, really, I think that was maybe the first case or known case of an NBA player testing positive. And obviously the league had shut down at that point in time because I think with the virus, there wasn't just a lot of information. There was a lot of unknowns, and there was a lot of concern as there is now. But I think now that people are back in buildings, people are traveling, people are interacting with each other, people have families. I think you saw some of this in the NFL. You're going to see it now. Oklahoma City's obviously, ended it. The regular season last year with the game against Utah, and then obviously their first game here to start this season. But, you may see some of this stuff happening throughout the course of the season where teams may not just have enough players, because it's not even necessarily people testing positive. A lot of it's the contact tracing and someone that maybe was exposed to somebody that is infected and then not wanting it to spread. And then, people having to go into quarantine and wait and see what happens maybe after a week or 10 days. So, sometimes it's not even guys testing positive. It's more the safety of, who that person who's been infected has contacted during that time. So, we're all dealing with it. It's challenging. It's difficult. And you really don't know from day to day what your team is going to look like, never mind games, but even in practice. So that part of it's very, very hard. And I've talked to our players about, one, the safety part of it, but also two, they have to keep themselves ready. You could have a guy that's coming completely out of the rotation, and then for the next 2 or 3 weeks can be completely in the rotation. And, I think we've got to do a good job, players and coaches, of making sure we're all staying ready.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Casey Johnson.
Billy, you haven't changed jobs much. 19 years at Florida, 5 years at Oklahoma City. I know you've coached the 4 preseason games, but are you the kind that kind of takes a moment on a night like tonight and kind of reflects on what's ahead is in a new chapter of your life?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to be coaching. I'm excited, to be here in Chicago. The people here have been wonderful. The city's been great. I really have enjoyed the guys. They've worked hard. They're a really, really great group of guys. There's, I think, a lot of growth that needs to take place, both, as individuals, as team. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I haven't, really been to a lot of different places, so to speak, coaching. And certainly I had a long tenure at Florida. And maybe for NBA standards, 5 years is a long time in Oklahoma City. But, I've enjoyed all my places that I've been around and met some great people and worked with some great, great players.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jamal, go ahead.
I have kind of a starter's question, Billy, even though you're not revealing it. Just with Patrick, the fact that I know you kind of said mostly strategically, like you kind of just want to see how your lineup's set up with Otto and such. But I mean, just the fact that he's even contender for this, a guy who was drafted last month. We talked about all the challenges rookies would face. Has that surprised you? Is that something that you expected coming in, and just kind of and how much of this is a testament to just what you've seen from him, I think, in his first, month or so you've been with him?
Yeah, I mean, I know that, for players and, for people, starting, is something that people pay attention to. I understand that. But from a coaching perspective, it's a 48-minute game. And sometimes how you start is not how you finish, based on what a lineup's doing or what the other team is doing, or if you have to go small or if somebody's got a hot hand, you extend somebody's minutes. So, I get the interest in the starting piece of it. But at the same point, too, even with somebody like Otto, we want to obviously ramp him up in a way that is safe and healthy for him. He's obviously, thank God, been available. He is healthy. He's doing well. But he's probably one of the most experienced guys on the team. And, you don't want to, I think, come out of the gates here with him absorbing 34, 35 minutes. That's not the best thing for him. So, we have to look at, what's best for him. And then you start trying to mix and match players. And then you deal with Sato, who's been out. And then, Thad's dealing with the infection. Garrett just got back from having COVID. So, like, a lot of these guys haven't done much. And you're trying to see, Garrett's been around for a while, right? So you got to make sure that, he's getting enough where he feels like he's ready. So, Patrick, to your point, has done a really good job. He's very young. He's got a long way to go, but he's smart. He's competitive. He wants to get better. He's a good team guy. He can handle and pass, but whether his minutes are as a starter or whether his minutes are coming off the bench, there's going to be a learning curve for him. I think you look at the game in Oklahoma City, the first game he played really, really well. Then the second game, it was kind of an up and down night for him. And I think you can anticipate that probably happening. But I think the kind of kid he is, he's going to learn and grow from these experiences. And to your point, it's been hard not only for him, but for all these rookies to go from the draft basically almost right into a training camp with no, period to kind of get acclimated at all.
Thanks.
Yes.
Cody, go ahead.
Billy, you talked about a 9-man rotation before. Is that still kind of your plan for tonight?
It could be 10, 9 or 10. We'll see how it's going. But yeah, not 9 or 10 guys is a possibility. I do think because we are, somewhat shorthanded with some of our veteran guys that have been around, I think tonight we've got to mix and match, maybe not an all bench unit, but maybe bring starters back in to help, with the guys that have come off the bench, trying to balance it. So I think that our players need to stay flexible. I know in a normal, NBA season, so to speak, there are guys that like, a certain kind of rotation, but for our team right now, all the players need to remain flexible. The fact that the rotation could really change. You may have a guy that's maybe used to or comfortable playing 9 or 10 or the whole entire first quarter that, may need to come out because we maybe want to play him to start the second quarter to mix and match players together and have players complement each other. So it could be 10 guys tonight. There's a possibility of that. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Coach, that's all we got for you tonight.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Billy.